Hello everyone, Zia on this side. Our today's topic is DNA fingerprinting, or what we call as the DNA profiling. We will be dealing with what is the name of the scientist who has given the term, or who's called as the father of the DNA fingerprinting, or the Indian father of the DNA fingerprinting. We will be dealing with the steps of the DNA fingerprinting as well, like the isolation of the DNA, the restriction, digestion, gel electrophoresis, sudden blotting, selection of the DNA probe, the hybridization, and the photography and the documentation. Which means like you are isolating the DNA from the crime scene, then you are going for the restriction, digestion of like the cutting the DNAs, and then you are going for running those DNA on the agarose gel plate, that is what we call as the gel electrophoresis. Then we will be dealing with the sudden blotting as well, in which we will be dealing, you will be transferring your DNA on the nylon membrane or the nitrocellulose paper. Then you will be dealing with another selection like the DNA probe, which is radioactively labeled, and then you will be hybridizing both them, the host DNA and the radioactively labeled your probe DNA. At the end of the day, we will be dealing with the photography and the documentation of what the result is there on the nitrocellulose paper, and then we will be going for the analysis. So let's get started. So the technique to identify a person with its DNA analysis is called as DNA fingerprinting. We call it as DNA profiling as well. Please do remember that the technique to identify a person with the DNA analysis is called as DNA fingerprinting or DNA profiling. Okay, so who was the scientist who first proposed this term? It was none other than a British geneticist named as Sir Alec Jeffrey. His name was Sir Alec Jeffrey. In the year 1985, he gave the term called as the DNA fingerprinting. So he is called as the father of DNA fingerprinting. As we do know that there are some pioneers here in India as well. So we do have an Indian father of DNA fingerprinting as well. And his name is none other than Professor Lal G. Singh. He is the Professor Lal G. Singh, the first director of the CDFD Hyderabad. Okay, so now we are starting the topic. Every individual has a unique genetic makeup. I repeat, every individual has a unique genetic makeup, but still 99.9% of the nucleotide sequences of DNA is same. Which means two completely unrelated human beings will be sharing 99.9% of the same genetic sequences. Why? Because we all belong to the same species. Whatever my name is, my scientific name is Homo sapien sapien, and the other unrelated person will be having the exact same name as a Homo sapien sapien. That is the reason why the 99.9% of the DNA is same. But remaining 0.1% is, remaining 0.1% of the nucleotide sequence is different. And to identify through that different is called as checking with the VNTRs. Now what does this VNTR means? Basically this VNTR is nothing but the variable number tandem repeats. What I said? Variable number tandem repeats. They may be 20 to 100 base pairs long. They may be 20 to 100 base pairs long. But do remember one thing, if I'll be dealing with these things, we all have the VNTRs, but the number of the repetition of their VNTRs are different from one person to the other. Even we don't have exact same VNTRs related with our siblings as well, even with our parents as well. Each and every individual is having different pattern of the VNTRs in their genetic makeup. That is what we call is that the DNA fingerprinting, which means just like the fingerprints are unique to every individual, the VNTR sequence number or repetition is unique to every individual. Okay, now the probability of two individuals, we are taking two unrelated individuals, and the probability of two individuals having the same VNTR sequence is 1 in 300 million people. So maybe there will be one case in the population of 300 million people, there will be one case that the two people are sharing the same VNTR numbers. But still now, like if you are dealing with the population of the planet Earth will be somehow around like 700 million. So ultimately this is not a big deal. Okay. Now what are the steps of the DNA fingerprinting? So here you have total 7 steps in the DNA fingerprinting, and we'll be dealing all of them one by one. I'm just giving you the names, then I'll be explaining them one by one. The first one is called as the isolation of the DNA. How you will be isolating the DNA, what is the cell, like the target cell. There are some specialized cells through which we can directly, basically we can have the DNA from each and every cell of the body, but still there are some cells which cannot give you the DNA. For example, the RBCs which do not have the nucleus. So that's why like we will be dealing with the isolation of the DNA. The second will be like the cutting of that DNA, and that is what we call as a restriction digestion. And the third step in the DNA fingerprinting will be gel electrophoresis. It will be gel electrophoresis. We will be checking at what this means. Then we will be going for the Southern blotting, and after the Southern blotting we will be dealing with the selection of DNA probe. We will be dealing with the selection of DNA probe, and at last we will be going for the hybridization of the formed DNA probe and our target DNA, or that what we call as the host DNA. And at the end of the day we will be dealing with the photography and the documentation of whatever the genetic sequence we have obtained, or whatever the VNTR sequence repetition we have obtained. Okay, so let's get started. So the steps of DNA fingerprinting. We do know that there are 7 steps, and we are dealing with all of them in the detailed fashion. The first one is called as the isolation of DNA. So for isolating the DNA, you need a small amount of either the tissue or the cells directly. For example, if I want to isolate the DNA, I'll be going for the blood cells, but specifically the WBCs. Why? Because the WBCs are the ones which contain the nucleus. The RBCs do not. So you need WBCs. You can have the roots of hair as well. Please do remember that if you are cutting the hair in between and you are having only the cut hair part, that will not be having the nucleus. For having the proper nucleated cells, you have to have the hair with the root cell. Done? Okay. And the third, you can have the skin cells as well. Like we do know, like the skin cells are continuously shading off of your body. So ultimately at the crime scene, the skin cell will be found. And one more thing, like the sperm cells will be also found if the case is of the rape case. Okay, coming back. The second is the restriction digestion. Restriction digestion. We all know that there are class of enzymes which is also called as a molecular scissors, and they are also called as a restriction endonucleases, which cut the DNA at a specific length. So here you are dealing with the restriction endonucleases, which cuts the DNA into small fragments. And what we call that phenomena as, the restriction fragment length polymorphism. I repeat, restriction fragment length polymorphism, or what we call them as RFLP. There are other processes as well called as AFLP or the RAPD as well. You can deal with those things as well. The third step of the genetic fingerprinting is called as a gel electrophoresis, which means like using the DNA sample and loading that DNA sample in a specialized gel called as agarose gel, or the complete name is called as agarose gel electrophoresis. Now we do know that the DNA is basically the negatively charged element, so ultimately we will be using the electric current influence here. So if the DNA which is negatively charged, it will be automatically going towards the positive pole. So whenever we will be having our gel electrophoresis, we will be loading our DNA on the negative charge, and then we will be running the electric current on them. So at the end of the day, we do know that the positive charges attract each other. So basically DNA being a negatively charged element, it will be automatically moving towards the positive pole, but depending on their length, depending on the basis of their length. The lower the size of the fragment, like the higher distance it will be covering, and like the heaviest the base pair of the length of the fragment, the lower the distance it will be covering, depending on their size. Now coming here on the southern blotting, you do have the agarose gel, you do have you have the bands as well, like whatever the host DNA bands were, but you need those bands on another paper, and for this thing you have to deal with the southern blotting. Basically southern is nothing but the name of the scientist who has gone for this, or who proposed this phenomena, that the separation of the DNA fragments, the separation of the DNA fragment and transferring those DNA fragment on either the nylon membrane or the nitrocellulose paper. You can use either the nylon membrane as well, or you can directly deal with the nitrocellulose paper. So what you will be dealing, you have your agarose gel here, you have your bands as well, like the DNA bands, like the lower bands will like the lower in size band, which are like which have crossed a lot of distance, rather like the heavier are have not crossed this. What you will be dealing, you will be just putting a nylon membrane on it for overnight purpose. Like you have to put this for overnight, and ultimately, like due to the pressure, these bands will be transferred on either your nylon membrane or the nitrocellulose paper, whatever you are using. Now you have to deal with another like DNA probe as well. You have to select another DNA probe. I repeat, a known sequence of single-stranded DNA. A known sequence of single-stranded DNA which is labeled by radioactive isotopes. So what you are doing, like your southern blotting is a very different process, but you are making another DNA probe which is single-stranded. Normally DNA is double-stranded, but here you are using single-stranded DNA. Why? Because due to the gel electrophoresis, your DNA has been converted into single or splitted up. The double-stranded DNA has been splitted up into single-stranded DNA with the help of alkaline treatment. Done. So here another, like on another procedure, you are preparing a DNA probe which is having radioactive isotopes. Why you are using these radioactive isotopes? We'll be checking it in the next topic. Here, hybridization. So what you have two different DNA strands. Here in the first dish, petri dish, you are having your host DNA, or whereas in the second petri dish you are having your DNA probe which is already radioactively labeled. So for the hybridization purpose, the probe DNA will be added into the nitrocellulose paper. The probe DNA will be added in the nitrocellulose paper which is already containing the host DNA. So here a new DNA hybrid will form. A new DNA hybrid will be formed, and some part of the remaining probe as well, which has not gone for the formation of the double-stranded DNA, it will be washed off. So ultimately on the paper now you are having only the hybridized form of the DNA, like one of the strand will be the probe DNA and the second strand will be the host DNA. At last we'll be dealing with the photography and the documentation of what we have got. Like what is the result on the nitrocellulose paper or the nylon membrane, we have to deal with those photography. So what we'll be doing for that, we have to directly go for the nitrocellulose paper is photographed on the X-ray film photography, or what we call as X-ray crystallography. Here you call it as the autoradiography. What we call it as? It will be called as the autoradiography, and after that you will be able to analyze about the number of the VNTR sequences which are present, and that process is called as the analysis. Hopefully this topic of the DNA fingerprinting is beneficial for you guys. If you are having any kind of doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you very much.